Hello and welcome to Devlog number 1 for Spikero. So this is a game I've been working on for a little while now. I just recently released a preview version for playtesting purposes. If you want to play that, it's on itch at the moment. It's password protected, but I have all the information you need in my Discord server. I'll put links to that in the description. So this is a platforming-based Metroidvania in which Spike sets out to find out what's wrong with Applejack's farm. It starts out pretty basic. The only thing you can do is jump, and when you get to these jump coins, they give you an extra jump in midair. So that's kind of the starting mechanics that you get. But if you're familiar with Metroidvania games, then you'll know that as you play, you'll start to collect more abilities, and more of the world will open up in that way. So I'm not going to talk too much about what is already in the game. If there's anything in the version up to the release of the preview version that you want me to talk about, maybe leave a comment, and if there's enough interest, I'll talk a bit more in depth about that. But what I'm going to talk about today is all of the new stuff since the preview version came out. So in the preview version, we had Sweet Apple Acres, the Everfree Forest, and there was a part of the Diamond Dog Caves that were accessible. When the player had finished all of those, they could go and find a character who would take them to Yakakistan, but that's going to happen later. It doesn't happen in the preview. In the preview, it just says, this is it, you've finished the preview. So that's kind of where it ended off. So what I'm going to be showing you today is Yakakistan. I'm going to be showing you some levels and talking a bit about the mechanics that I made for that. So this is Yakakistan. I love doing things like this snow you can see here. I really love putting non-pixelated particles into a pixelated game. So if I go to the scene view, here's a big one. So you can see here that it is pixelated, but it's not the same pixel scale as everything else. But then we go back to the game, we can see that it is. So I really love the way that when you put things that are not the same scale inside, but then force it to the same resolution, you get this really interesting pixelated effect. Like that. Yeah, look at that. That's the stuff right there. So the idea with this level is we have to jump out of the tongue to get up onto the platform before we reach the side, because if we reach the side, we'll just fall down. Okay, so this is what normally happens with these sticky sides, is you would pull yourself in and you'd just be able to stick. And you've got forever. You can just wait until the timing is right to jump off. Now that we know what it normally looks like, we can see that this is quite different. So the way we get up here is we just have to jump out of the tongue before we reach the level. And that's really what this zone is teaching the player, is that you don't have to get to the wall and attach on before you can do a wall jump. You can do that jump maneuver at any point after the tongue has attached. So I could try and time it so that I jump almost as soon as the tongue hits. And that's how we would get up to this platform. So we started with just a fairly low risk jump onto this one. If we fall, we just fall down to here. We can essentially just jump up from there again. And then we go a slightly harder jump. And then down here we have that same snow, but on an obstacle. So to get over this, we need to jump out at the right time. Oh, I've messed that one up. We avoid this obstacle here. Let's see if I can get it. Nope. I am really messing this up. There we go. And I think I might make this one a little bit easier, to be honest, because I don't think that it's necessarily fair to introduce both the jumping over the obstacle at the same time as requiring a spin out of it to get to the platform. Actually, let's do that together. Okay, so to do that, we're going to go down to level piece Yak 2, open that up and have a look in the scene view. And so here we are. So what we've got here is this is the platform that you need to land on. So I'm just going to, first up, I'll get rid of, where are the sides? There's one, I'll get rid of that. Yep, that's gone. And now we can open the tile palette and select the ground layer, because these are on the ground layer. We'll just control click to get the right tile. And we can draw this in a bit lower, like that. And we'll put it on the other side as well so that players don't have to jump over if they don't want to. Okay. There we go. And so here we have the second type of collapsing snow in the game. Now this is a bit more of a traditional collapsing snow or collapsing platform. You can see if we just stand on it for too long, the platform goes away. I think it works thematically quite well. So just the two of those together make up the mechanic themes of this level. So you'll see if we try and get to the top here now, the two of those together lead to a bit more of a kind of time pressure gameplay where you have to make the jumps definitely in the right amount of time. Once you start out onto this more precarious platforms, you really have to just kind of get every jump until you've made it to the end. And here we can see one of the ways that I'm gating this game. This ceiling hang zone is something that you can only get past if you've gotten the ceiling hang ability, and that's the ability that you lock in this zone. So right now nothing's going to happen if we jump up to it, but later in the game this will be a shortcut because we'll have that ability and we'll be able to get into the room that's just past here. One of the things that is new in this version is as the ruby rooms are I'll back up for just 1 second. There are optional rooms in the game at the end of which there'll be rubies. You can kind of think of them like the strawberries in Celeste. They're not required to finish the main ending. So one of the things I was worried about with the design of these rooms is, especially for a room like this one where all of the platforms are the collapsing snow. So yeah, I don't want it to be that you have to do these 3 jumps and then the last one at the end is what kills you because you don't know what's coming up next. So as well as these signs just being in the room denoting that it is an optional room, if you jump up to the sign, you can press and hold the jump button and it'll put you into this mode where you can now scroll across and you've got control over this camera, and you can spend as long as you want just kind of scoping out the room before you decide to do it. So I'll try and do this now with the foreknowledge of what's to come. There we go. So I want the challenge of these rooms to be actually completing them. I don't want the challenge to be dying enough that you actually have a good mental model of what the room looks like. So that's why I think that was important. So just on the topic of these ruby rooms, so you can see at the moment I don't have anything at the end there. And what I want to do with these ruby rooms is I want to have an NPC at the end of each one to talk to you a little bit, give a little bit of flavor to the world, and to then once you had to talk to them, they'll grant you the ruby. And I'll show you how that works in the first one. What was the level name? Was it this one? Yes, okay. Actually, I haven't put a ruby sign into here yet. This is just a prop. So I'm just going to delete that one out. I'll put a ruby sign in. Just align it nicely. That's not nice. That's better. Now one of the problems with this one is it's right where you want to be jumping. I might just move it back just a little, and I might also just pull the size of this collider in a bit. 1.25 is probably enough. I'm going to come back and change this a little bit because this is going to cause some people some frustration, but it'll be good enough for demonstration purposes. Oh, this is actually a good example. So this is the dynamic UI that I have. So if I use my controller, it'll change the internal setting to Xbox controller settings. And when I hover over this, it'll show the A button as the interactable. If I use my keyboard, then when I go across this, it'll show Z as the interactable button, because Z is the jump button for keyboard. Just an aside, I just thought I'd point that out. So we can see at the end of this gauntlet of vines and platforms is me. I decided I would put myself in because that was the least risky option. So if you get to the end of this, I'm going to see if I can do it. I might have to speed this up. Just give me a moment. There we go. So welcome back. If I muted it, then ignore the fact that it went to a Z. I definitely did that all with the Xbox controller. So we get to the end of this. The NPC at the end will have a little bit of dialogue. This one for the preview is a little bit self-aware. And at the end of that, he's going to give you a gem. It's not particularly ceremonious. I eventually want to have it so that the gem will appear above you and just slowly descend until you collect it while you're still doing the dialogue. I think it's going to be much nicer. But for now, you just got to go collect it yourself. And then you can talk to the NPC again, and they will send you back to the start of the room. And so now the question I have for you is, I need NPCs to fill those rooms. And so if I were to offer as something like a Kickstarter incentive, your character in the game, so you would get a pixel art version of your OC in the same pose that all of the other NPCs are. You would get a collection of portraits that are used in the dialogue, and then maybe you can let me know what kind of thing you want your OC to talk about in that little bit of dialogue before they give off the ruby. So that's something I'm considering at the moment. So leave a comment below if that's something that you would be interested in. Or, like I said, there's going to be a link to my Discord server. This is another one of those rooms. So over here is where, so you would enter from here, and you would come across over to here. So if you can imagine your OC just standing here, waiting to have a chat with Spike and give him a collectible. And so yeah, so that's Devlog 1 for Spikero. If you have anything that you want me to talk about more, again, leave a comment. If you have any suggestions or just want to talk more, jump into my Discord server. The link will be in the description. Also, this type of video is fairly new for this channel, so leave a comment below telling me if this is something you'd like to see more of. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.